Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Glenn Hutchins and Henry Louis Gates, Jr., it is my true honor to welcome the 2025 Du Bois Medalists. The inimitable William Edward Burghardt Du Bois once said, "I am one who tells the truth and exposes evil and seeks with beauty, for beauty, to set the world right." In the spirit of thanks, let us open with prayer. Please bow your heads with me. Dear God, for the gifts of truth, goodness, beauty, we give thanks. For the gifts of ethical leadership and advocating for our communities, we give thanks. For the gifts of public service and those called by a vocation to serve with care and integrity, we give thanks. For the gifts of strength and sportsmanship as inspiration for excellence and collegiality, we give thanks. For the gifts of art in its myriad forms, painting, film, dance, and the written word, and the gifts of artistry that connect people across time and space, we give thanks. For visionaries dedicated to setting the world right, for leaders who help lift every voice, and for moments like these when we are blessed to celebrate those who honor our shared humanity. May we all say together, we give thanks. We give thanks. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Marla, for those beautiful words, and for that message of peace and understanding. And to the Kuumba singers, not on the stage anymore, but they're inspiring music. My name's Glenn Hutchins, and on behalf of my wife, Debbie, sitting here in the front row, it's our great pleasure to welcome you to the 2025 W.E.B. Du Bois Medal Ceremony. I can't express how meaningful it is to me and Debbie and all of us on this stage that all of you have come today. I'd like to start by thanking today's presenters here in the front row. You're a distinguished group, just look at you. And we appreciate your taking the time to be with us today. Next, I'd like to recognize our supporters who are present, particularly members of our National Advisory Board. As I call your name, please stand. Hold your applause to the end. And Paul Butenweiser, I see him over there. Virgis Colbert, Jeremy Henderson, Eric Johnson, Melissa Vale, and Dan Ross and Tamara Mitchell. Thank you very much. The other people who make this possible each year are the dedicated staff at Harvard and at the Hutchins Center, and they are still scurrying around, so I'm not going to ask them to stand, but let's thank the Hutchins Center staff for their tireless work in getting this show together. I want especially to thank the students who are here today. Professor Gates and I strongly believe that we do this for you. You are society's future leaders, culture shapers, and role models. You truly inspire us with your promise and potential. We expect some of you will be on the stage in the future receiving one of these awards. Among the undergraduates with us today are 20 students from Harvard's Dance, Theater, and Media program who had a chance to meet this afternoon with Misty Copeland. Misty, thank you for doing that. Also meeting their hero this afternoon were 34th to 12th graders from the Boston area dance company, Unapologetically We Dance. There they are. All right, that's good. Good to hear some noise from you guys. Also in the house today are the Harvard women's and men's basketball teams. Led by Coach Kerry Moore and Coach Tommy Amaker, who has never missed one of these events. Well done, Tommy. By the way, under NCAA rules, the coaches only have limited time with their players, and they've used part of that today to be with us in the gym, rather than in the gym, including gathering earlier for the athletes to learn valuable lessons from Brittney and Spike. Thank you, two, for doing that. That was great. Both coaches are educators in the truest sense. As has become custom, my favorite, we have 250 students here from 20 high schools in the Boston area. We're very pleased to make you part of the Harvard community today. As I survey the extraordinarily distinguished group of medal recipients here on the stage, I'm reminded that we're here today because we all stand on the shoulders of giants. The previous Du Bois Medal winners. George, leaders from the business community who came before you, and like you led in the community, have included Vernon Jordan, Ray McGuire, Ken Chenault, Strive Masiyiwa, Ursula Burns, and Richard Cohen. Brittney, from the world of sports, medal recipients have included Muhammad Ali, right? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he was taller than you. Bill Russell, David Stern, Colin Kaepernick, and the 1966 Texas Western Miners men's basketball team. Amy, before you, from the art world came Carrie James Marshall, Carrie Mae Weems, Carol Walker, Kahindi Wiley, and Thelma Golden. Right. Spike, creative geniuses who preceded you included Steven Spielberg, Toni Morrison, Wale Soyinka, Maya Angelou, Ava DuVernay, Shonda Rhimes, Tony Kushner, Rita Dove, and Steve McQueen. You're in distinguished company. And Misty, stars of stage and screen who paved the way for you here today included Jesse Norman, Oprah Winfrey, Quincy Jones, LL Cool J, Nas, Queen Latifah, Pam Grier, Harry Belafonte, and Kunta Kinte himself, LeVar Burton. Jim Clyburn is on his way here. He's been delayed in the air. And we're also representing another great political leader, posthumously Marielle. And leaders who come from their world have included, as Du Bois Medal winners, Nelson Mandela, John Lewis, Sonia Sotomayor, Brian Stevenson, Eric Holder, Deval Patrick, and Donna Brazil. So at the end of the day, you will be the giants whose shoulders the next group stands upon. But now it's time to induct you into this illustrious community. Skip, let's get the show on the road.
Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Glenn, for that wonderful introduction. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Henry Louis Gates, Jr., and I have the great honor of serving as the director of Harvard's Hutchins Center for African and African American Research. And on behalf of our patrons, Glenn and Debbie Hutchins, and Dr. Abby Wolf, our brilliant executive director. Give it up for Abby Wolf, ladies and gentlemen. Harvard PhD in English, thank you very much. It gives me an enormous amount of pleasure to welcome each of you to the 2025 Hutchins Center Honors, the high point of our academic year. All that we do at the center, ladies and gentlemen, is made possible by the vision and generosity of two people, Glenn and Debbie Hutchins, who, despite all of the demands on their resources, remain the most generous funders in the history of the field of African and African American studies. Isn't that amazing? Give it up for Glenn and Debbie. As Marla Frederick would say, praise the Lord on that. We are gathered inside Sanders Theater, one of America's grand, inspired stages of ideas and instruction, proclamation and praise. It's hosted furious debates as well as dynamic performances, like the one we just heard from Harvard's Kumba Singers. Please give it up for the Kumba Singers. I have to say, what a joy it is to see this space filled as we gather this evening to celebrate the presentation of the W.E.B. Du Bois Medal, the highest honor that Harvard University bestows for contributions to Black culture, scholarship, and service. Named in honor of William Edward Burghardt Du Bois, the first Black person to earn the PhD from Harvard and one of the founders of the Niagara Movement in 1905, and the NAACP in 1909. Each of our 7 esteemed medalists embodies this brilliant and courageous man's dedication to excellence in the arts, in business, philanthropy, and public service, and his determination to fight racism and ethnic hatred, ladies and gentlemen, wherever they raise their pernicious, ugly heads. All that we do at the Hutchins Center is our attempt to honor Du Bois's unparalleled historic legacy, his unflinching dedication to Black excellence, his fearlessness in the face of the rollback of Reconstruction first and the rise of Jim Crow segregation, and his role as one of the prophetic founders of the Civil Rights Movement. Long may this great man's legacy endure, and his courage inspire us to continue the fight, to protect both the democratic principles enshrined in our Constitution by our founders and the welcoming embrace of immigrants that has been the key to this country's unique status in the world and the heart of our country's greatness. We can all be forgiven if we feel as if the world is spinning off its axis. Our nation's foundation is rocked as measurable, quantifiable truth, particularly in science and medicine, is challenged and haggled over. The arts and humanities are monitored and censored, corralled to fit into political comfort zones, or else punished with the withdrawal of federal funding. This is exactly when we need Du Bois's voice in our heads, reminding us to stay stubborn, to protect what is real, and to stay generous about what is possible. And what a year it is to keep Du Bois front of mind, for tonight is also a birthday of sorts. You see, this year marks 50 years since the founding at Harvard of the W.E.B. Du Bois Research Institute. 50 years. Half a century of scholarship, of community, of insisting that Black art, Black intellect, Black entrepreneurship, and Black struggle belong not on the margin or in a footnote, but at the pivotal center of our still unfolding American story, of insisting, ladies and gentlemen, not only that Black lives matter, but Black lives have and always will matter. From its first home in a small basement space in Kennedy Hall in Harvard Yard, when it welcomed its first cohort of fellows in 1975, including my friend and our dear colleague Evelyn Brooks Higginbotham, to its glorious permanent home within the Hutchins Center in the heart of Harvard Square on Mount Auburn Street, the Du Bois Institute has become the lodestar of African and African American research, not only in this country, but throughout the academic world. Over its life, the Du Bois Institute has provided fellowship support for more than 600 scholars across a range of fields, including such luminaries this year as the journalist Charles Blow, the former president of Howard University, the capstone of Negro education, Ben Vincent III, the actor Andre Holland, and the playwright Anna Devere Smith, philosopher Cornel West, National Book Award-winning sociologist Orlando Patterson, ladies and gentlemen, the dean of the Scholars of our cohort, sitting right there. Give it up for Orlando Patterson. Pulitzer Prize-winning biographer Jeffrey Stewart, Valerie Smith, the president of Swarthmore, and even a Nobel laureate, my former professor, the great Nigerian playwright, Wole Soyinka. Since becoming part of the Hutchins Center upon its launch in 2013, the Du Bois Institute has experienced a period of exceptional growth and now awards up to 20 fellowships a year, a significant increase since the 5 in its initial cohort back in 1975. At the same time, its home within the multi-story Hutchins Center offices has created dedicated work and conference space for our fellows, while placing them in close proximity with our other world-leading institutes and resources. The Marcelina H. Morgan Hip Hop Archive and Research Institute, which Dean Hopi Hoekstra generously has named in honor of its founder, our recently deceased colleague, Marcelina Morgan. Give it up for Hopi Hoekstra, who did that right there. Thank you, Dean Hoekstra. It's the first institute at Harvard named for an African-American woman, and the second named for an African-American. That's amazing, and she did it. The Afro-Latin American Research Institute, the Black Film Project, the Institute on Policing, Incarceration, and Public Safety, the Project on Race and Gender in Science and Medicine, the Image of the Black in Western Art, Archive and Library, and of course, the Alain Locke Gallery of African and African American Art. Our journals, Transition and the Du Bois Review, have published thousands of thinkers. Our public programs reach thousands more. And at the heart of the Hutchins Center remains the Du Bois Institute. Our Du Bois Fellows all contribute to the endless expansion of the most critical field of study, continue to work in the service of people everywhere who believe that the pursuit of the truth must at all costs be protected, and the creation of beauty must be fostered free of censorship from government or mandating or bullying by any political ideology. The medal that bears Du Bois's name isn't about celebrity. It's about standards, real courage, imagination that serves the public, excellence as a form of service. Tonight, we're honoring 7 people who actually live up to that. They show up. They tell the truth. They make something the next person could build on. That was Du Bois's idea of public intelligence. And so tonight, ladies and gentlemen, as we honor our medalists, we carry forward Du Bois's legacy and the fight to which he dedicated his long, productive life. Their work embodies Du Bois's spirit, his intellect, his enterprise, joined with moral purpose. Our honorees, James Clyburn, Misty Copeland, Marielle Franco, posthumously, Brittney Griner, Georgie Johnson, Spike Lee, and Amy Sherald, stand as living proof that excellence married to conviction can move history forward. Congressman Clyburn has spent a lifetime ensuring democracy's promise reaches every citizen. Misty Copeland transcended the boundaries of ballet, redefining grace and representation. Marielle Franco's fight for justice in Brazil endures as a global call to conscience, giving her life, insisting that democracy isn't something abstract. It's local, it's now, and it's ours. Brittney Griner turned adversity into advocacy, proving visibility can itself be power, on and off the court. George E. Johnson carved a visionary path for Black enterprise, showing how culture and commerce can uplift an entire people's culture and their positive self-image. And I'm hoping I get a case of Afro Sheen when he leaves. I used to have Afro. I know y'all don't believe it, but I did. My friend Spike Lee boldly reshaped American cinema with audacity and truth, forever reminding us always to do the right thing. And Amy Sherald has reimagined portraiture as a serene, luminous celebration of the myriad manifestations of the beauty of Black life. Each of our honorees continues Du Bois's invitation to unite art and ethics, what he called, and I quote, the guiding hand of reason reason, and the shaping spirit of beauty, unquote. In these 7 individuals, ladies and gentlemen, we recognize and honor hard work, artistic, political, entrepreneurial, civic. And we're reminding ourselves in this deeply troubling moment that the tradition we've inherited actually isn't fragile, despite the cracks that are showing. It's tough-minded and practical. It dreams, yes, and when necessary, defers those dreams. But it waits, it bides its time, and inevitably, it always delivers. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you this evening to the Hutchins Center Honors. Let's honor our medalists the right way by doing work that long outlasts our time and our place. Please give it up for the marvelous women and men sitting with us on the stage this evening. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Eric Johnson, and I'm honored to be here. And I want to just, first of all, say to Glenn and to my good friend that you guys have set a standard of excellence and are raising the voices that Skip Gates always does it, but that need to be raised. And I'm proud to be here tonight, a part of this event. I want to thank all of the members of the Hutchins Center, Harvard University faculty, staff, and participants here, and all the ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, I have the honor of introducing an individual who I assure you I have known for all my life. And I mean that literally. And I've had the best seat in the house to see what an entrepreneur can make and what makes an entrepreneur. And that was indeed a rare experience because this started in a black household in the 1950s. My introduction to business was at a very early age, and I learned a practical guide to the balance sheet. New clothes for the first day of school, apartments transitioning into homes, and vacations, those were assets. To understand pressure, watch stress, and sometimes tragedy, like the value employee we once lost in a fire. Those were liabilities. Meeting Dr. King at the age of 10 when he came to Johnson Products Company to speak to our employees for a company dinner, accompanied by Freedom Riders. Watching the spearheading of the financial support that brought Chicago its first black mayor. And the founding member operate in the environment of creating the first black bank in Chicago and also one in Miami, Florida. Sending hundreds of children to college through a foundation that he created, and the first black business to ever be traded publicly on a stock exchange. That, ladies and gentlemen, is shareholders' equity. Now, people know about Ultra Sheen and Afro Sheen and Soul Train. But what about the thousands of jobs that were created by the people, the independent business people that distributed the products? These independent business owners, many of whom were recruited, trained, and even in many cases provided the ability to start the businesses by our honoree. And these people were very significant in their communities, and that allowed them and their families to prosper, get college educations and beyond. And many of them even started additional businesses. Beauticians, because of these products, were able to build more outlets in virtually every black community in America. And they were able to take on more customers because of the speed with which they could deliver the final product. And as a result also, they generated far more income than had ever been the case before. And almost in every case, they also became not only significant people, but some of the best of them had star status, even on a national basis. As the brands went to retail and expanded into the maintenance items and the other products that were part of the category, this economic impact actually reached billions of dollars, going all the way back to the 1970s. And the brands, especially in the early year, contributed more than 50% of the sales of the category, so you couldn't attract Black customers without them. In 1971, taking Soul Train from a local Chicago program to a nationally syndicated phenomena not only helped the sale of Johnson Products brands, but it took Black music and the artists that created it to a worldwide stage. The bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, is George Johnson created more than a business. In 1999, the Wall Street Journal ran a Millennium article titled 10 Who Changed the World. And it was meant to look back at the 20th century's greatest accomplishments. And in that article, they described, first of all, they featured Bill Gates, Hewlett and Packard, LL Bean, and the businesses they created. But interestingly, that in that article, they said George Johnson was a wealthy businessman who started with $250. But that's not why he's here. And I quote, "He's not here because of the business. He's on this list because Johnson Products Company became a nurturer and incubator for scores of future Black entrepreneurs, and Mr. Johnson is a shining symbol of Black entrepreneurial success. The story of how Black business ownership in the 20th century and beyond the domain and spread beyond the domain of white males must include the story of Mr. Johnson," end of quote. Now, I'm an entrepreneur also, learned at home. And I was trained, for the most part, at a number 2 college down the road, Babson College. But I knew the path. I knew the need for hard work, and I had seen thousands of experiences and other things that let me know what that path was like. But, like W.E.B. Du Bois, George Johnson was and is a trailblazer who, along with my mother, Joan Johnson, his mother, Priscilla Howard, who brought him to Chicago at the age of 3 as part of the Great Migration of the 1930s, and the God of his worship, which he literally has talked to every day of his life, he literally made a way where there was no way. He has the creative genius to make products that never existed, developing brand names that not only worked but resonated with consumers, helping others and being responsible for the community in which he belongs, and giving back at every stage. There is no doubt that W.E.B. Du Bois would have been easy to recognize him as a part of the talented 10th. So tonight, for the 10 decades you have devoted to adding beauty, education, economics, values, and joy to Black people everywhere, the Hutchins Center recognizes George E. Johnson with the W.E.B. Du Bois Medal.
Wow. Oh, wow. Well, Eric, that was a great job you did. Woo. So the part of your speech that you did, it's part of my speech that you didn't give, I'm going to give. But anyway, I thank you so much. And I thank President Garber and the Hutchins Center for acknowledging my work and for the presentation of this tremendous, prestigious W.E.B. Du Bois Medal. Congratulations as well to my fellow honorees. Skip Gates, we are all grateful for the incredible work you do. In 1944, I dropped out of high school in my junior year. My older brother, John, worked for a very dynamic and brilliant black man, S.B. Fuller, who owned Fuller Products Company. He was the most successful and wealthiest black businessman in Chicago and probably the country. John was inspired by Mr. Fuller's spiritual philosophy and the way he helped jobless and jobless black people own, or rather, excuse me, I'm so overcome by what Eric had to say. Anyway, John was really very overcome by Mr. Fuller's spiritual philosophy and the way he helped jobless and low-income black people earn a dignified living and help develop the middle class. I lost my place. Wow. You have no idea how much I'm straining here. Oh. And thank you.
Thank you, John. We ain't going nowhere.
Working at Fuller Products was like leaving one institution of learning for another. Among the many priceless lessons that Mr. Fuller taught was that God did not intend for us to be poor, that He had given us unique gifts and talents to help us overcome poverty. But we must keep faith in God, trust God, be honest, and help people. And in business, put your customers' interests ahead of your own. Mr. Fuller also taught us to follow the golden rule. And when the Lord blessed me to create my business, I made Johnson Products Company the founding principle of that business. Our first products, Ultra-Wave Hair Straightener for men and Ultra Sheen Hair Relaxer for women, provided black folks with products that they could use to straighten their hair. But first, I had to be sure that they knew how to use my products. So I gave them free training, which was revolutionary in our business at that time. In the middle 60s, when huge afros were the rage in the country, we launched Afro Sheen to help Black people express pride in their natural hair. In 1970, JPC became the sole financial sponsor of the TV show Soul Train. Soul Train conveyed messages of love and Black music around the nation and the world. Our groundbreaking advertising showed Black people as smart people, decent people, worthy people, and not as Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben. When equitable treatment in the workplace was not common, JPC provided our employees with a loving work environment. We offered so many things, and so you can count them. We hired women in executive positions. We gave our employees a profit-sharing plan, whether they worked in the executive suite or on the factory floor. JPC gave them health care benefits, college tuition reimbursements, maternity leave, 4-day holidays, a subsidized cafeteria for breakfast and lunch, and we had a credit union that our employees operated. Just as Mr. Fuller had helped me, I helped many low-income Chicagoans into the middle class. Our company partnered with local schools and organizations such as Junior Achievement to help educate the next generation of entrepreneurs. Our foundation helped more than 1,000 deserving Black youngsters put together their college application, and we gave them scholarships. We supported Dr. Martin Luther King's SCLC and other civil rights organizations, as well as the civil life of Chicago, the civic life of Chicago. Wow. As I look back on my life at 98 years old, I am grateful that Johnson Products helped our nearly 500 employees live the good life they deserved. And we blazed a trail for further Black entrepreneurs. I share more of my stories in my book, Afro Sheen. Again, thank you for this great honor.
Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening to you all. 98, huh? 98. Wow. I'm Alejandro de la Fuente, and I direct the Afro-Latin American Research Institute at the Hutchins Center. Welcome to all of you to this celebration of Marielle Franco's extraordinary life. Marielle's sister, Aniele, who serves as the Minister of Racial Equality in Brazil, was going to join us today, but was called by President Lula to perform duties from which she could not escape. We will make sure she gets the medal. We are joined, however, by several members of the Marielle Franco Institute, who was created by her family to honor her legacy. Sejam muito bem-vindas to a Universidade de Harvard. I want to welcome all of you especially. On March 13, 2018, Marielle Franco posted a question on social media, a question that would reverberate for years to come, a question that in many ways summarizes her lifelong fight against Brazil's entrenched police violence. I quote, "How many more will have to die for this war to end?" she asked. Her question is jarringly current. Last week, as I'm sure you know, a police raid in Rio resulted in the deaths of over 120 people. How many more will have to die? It was a question that grounded her own life experience. Marielle Franco used to call herself a cria da maré, a daughter of the favela Maré in Rio de Janeiro, one of those urban spaces that scholars describe as a black necropolis, spaces marked by spatial segregation, mass incarceration, police killings. Her experiences as a black, queer, single mother in a favela inspired her tireless advocacy for human rights and social justice. You cannot be a mother in a favela without facing violence. You cannot be a woman in a favela without experiencing violence. You cannot be a queer or a feminist in a favela without encountering violence. Because in a place like that, blackness itself is constituted through violence. What other question could she have asked? Marielle was active in community organizations in Maré for many years and went on to coordinate the Commission for the Defense of Human Rights and Citizenship in Rio de Janeiro state legislature while working for a state representative. By then, she was also raising a daughter and had completed a social science degree at PUC-Rio and a master's in public administration from Universidade Federal Fluminense. In 2016, she was elected to the City Council of Rio de Janeiro, the only black woman among 51 council members, where she continued to champion marginalized communities, to rally against police brutality, and to support LGBTQ+ and women's rights. As is frequently the case with Afro-descendant public figures, her intellectual work, her academic work, sustained her activism and vice versa. It was because of her exceptional contributions as an activist and intellectual that in early 2018, we invited Marielle to come to Harvard. to participate in a symposium titled Afrodescendants in Brazil, Achievements, Present Challenges, and Perspectives for the Future, that the Afro-Latin American Research Institute hosted on April 27, 2018. Our guests included a carefully selected section of prominent figures in the massive Brazilian Black movement. Councilwoman Franco was among them. 6 weeks and 2 days before joining us here, one day after posting her question about the war against her own community, Marielle was assassinated, along with her driver, Anderson Gomes, whose name I also want to mention here today. Perhaps appropriately, Marielle was killed right after participating in an event titled Young Black Women Moving Power Structures. Indeed, it is because women like her have challenged and transformed power structures in the face of racism, in the face of sexism, in the face of LGBTQ plus phobia. It is because of her success that her precious life was terminated. But what I want to emphasize here today is that they failed. Her assassins and their vile sponsors failed. Marielle was with us during our symposium. They could not erase her. You can check the events program online. You will find her there. You will also find that she came back to us, that she returned to us during the first Honoree Continental Conference on Afro-Latin American Studies, which we hosted at Harvard a year later. They failed. Those who sought to silence her failed. Hundreds of thousands of people all over Brazil took to the streets to demand justice and to keep her legacy alive. They failed. Marielle did come to Honoree, and after that, she never left. She has been with us since then. She has been with us during all these years. Knowledge production in our field is fed by struggles for justice and inclusion, is nurtured by women like Marielle. You cannot kill that. Marielle Franco is life. You cannot kill life. That is why we're here today, to celebrate life, to celebrate her life. And I am speaking in present tense. These, my friends, are the reasons. This is why the first Brazilian person to ever receive the W.E.B. Du Bois Medal is, and could only be, our Marielle Franco.
My name is Brandon Terry. I am the John L. Loeb Associate Professor of the Social Sciences here at Harvard and the Director of the Institute on Policing, Incarceration, and Public Safety at the Hutchins Center. I want to thank Professor Gates and Glenn Hutchins for this extraordinary moment and congratulate our awardees for their outstanding contributions. I'd like to read from W.E.B. Du Bois's 1909 text, John Brown. Reaction meant and means a policy of state, society, and individual, whereby no American of Negro blood shall ever come into the full freedom of modern culture. In the carrying out of this program by certain groups and sections, no pains have been spared, no expenditure of money, ingenuity, physical or moral strength. The building of barriers around these black men has been pushed with an energy so desperate and unflagging that it has seriously checked the great outpouring of benevolence and sympathy that greeted the freedmen in 1863. It has come so swathed and gowned in graciousness as to disarm philanthropy and chill enthusiasm. It has used double-tongued argument with deadly effect. Has the Negro advanced? Beware his further strides. Has the Negro retrograded? It is his fate. Why seek to help him? Thus has the spirit of repression gained attention, complacent acquiescence, and even cooperation. To be sure, there still stand staunch souls who cannot yet believe the doctrine of human repression and who pour out their wealth for Negro training and freedom in the face of the common cry. But the majority of Americans seem to have forgotten the foundation principles of their government and the recklessly destructive effect of the blows meant to bind and tether their fellows. We have come to see a day here in America when one citizen can deprive another of his vote at his discretion, can restrict the education of his neighbor's children as he sees fit, can with impunity load his neighbor with public insult on the King's Highway, can deprive him of his property without due process of law, can deny him the right of trial by his peers or of any trial whatsoever if he can get a large enough group of men to join him, can refuse to protect or safeguard the integrity of the family of some men whom he dislikes. Finally, can not only close the door of opportunity in commercial and social lines in a fully competent neighbor's face, but can actually count on the national and state governments to help and make effective this discrimination. Such a state of affairs is not simply disgraceful, it is deeply and increasingly dangerous.
Good evening, everyone. I am Allison Feaster, Harvard College class of 1998. Also the Vice President of Team Operations and Organizational Growth for the Boston Celtics. I mentioned that because there is some New York Knick juju that must be thwarted this evening. God willing, not for you guys either. In all seriousness, yeah, I think I need to move this a little bit. There we go. I have a profound amount of honor, a profound amount of personal honor to stand before you tonight to present the W.E.B. Du Bois Medal to an athlete, to an advocate, and to, she doesn't know this, one of my heroes. Whose courage and conviction have reshaped what it means to lead, the incomparable Brittney Griner. You're gonna get these flowers. Brittney Griner is, without question, one of the most decorated and influential athletes of this generation. An NCAA champion, a WNBA champion, a 3-time Olympic gold medalist, a 10-time WNBA All-Star, a member of the W25. This is the WNBA's list of the 25 greatest players of all time in WNBA history. An ESPY awardee, a #1 overall pick, a WNBA Rookie of the Year, the first openly gay professional athlete, American, to sign a deal with Nike. It is abundantly clear that Brittney has built an on-court legacy that commands both respect and admiration. But her impact goes far beyond the court. It is the legacy that she's built off the court through serving others where her leadership shines brightest. Her ardent support of LGBTQ+ causes, her advocacy for veterans and people experiencing homelessness, her work for the Phoenix Rescue Mission, and the BG Heart and Soul shoe drive that serves hundreds of people every year. And very importantly, during the WNBA's return to play during COVID, the WNBA was the first league to return to play post-COVID, and she helped turn that moment of challenge into one of unity, compassion, and resilience for the entire league. Amid the isolation, uncertainty, and exhaustion, she was a steadying and grounding force, a presence advocating for her teammates' mental health and reminding us all that even when the stands are empty and even in the storm, our purpose remains full. This work that you've done demonstrates that greatness isn't only measured by wins and titles. It's measured by compassion, courage, and the willingness to lift others up. As I stated at the outset, this presentation is very, very personal to me. I've never met Brittney Griner before this moment. We've never shared the court ever. But as a former professional athlete, I competed in the WNBA for 10 years and 17 years abroad. I know the sacrifices the game demands. As a bicontinental woman of color, living abroad, far from family and community and friends, where you are often the only woman of color, the only English speaker, the only person over 6'2". It really tests your body, your mind, and your spirit. And sometimes crossing those borders could mean life or death. In your case, in Brittney's case, life abroad brought one of the greatest challenges, the greatest trials any athlete, any human being could face or could endure, 10 months of wrongful detainment in Russia. Yet, during those 10 months, she inspired a movement. I don't know how many people will say this, but I'm gonna say it here today. As much as many of the other prominent players on the court have sparked this rise in the WNBA's interest, you and the way you held your ground and held your resilience are as much responsible for this surgence of the WNBA. The call to bring BG home became more than a campaign. It is a symbol of collective strength and shared humanity. Thousands of voices, teammates, opponents, fans, strangers came together unified by love and justice. Your experience reminded us all when one of us is in pain, none of us can remain silent. And when you did return home, you didn't retreat. You rose once again, transforming hardship into purpose. Through your partnership with Bring Our Families Home, you are fighting for others who are wrongfully detained abroad, and we thank you for that. That is leadership in its purest form, the kind that turns suffering into service and adversity into advocacy. Brittney, your journey hasn't been easy, but it has been extraordinary and unparalleled. You've shown the world what it means to stand tall, both literally and figuratively. You've shown our daughters, you've shown my daughter, our sons, what it means to live authentically, to lead with empathy, and to rise no matter the circumstances. Those who come after you will indeed stand on the shoulders of a giant. You have expanded what is possible, not just for athletes, but for anyone who's ever been told to shrink themselves to make others feel comfortable. Tonight, as we honor you with the W.B. Du Bois Medal, an honor reserved for those whose excellence and impact transcend their field, we celebrate the fullness of your story, your talent, your heart, your resilience, and your humanity. Brittney, thank you for your courage and for your compassion, and for reminding us all that greatness is not measured by what you achieve, but what you overcome and uplifting others along the way. It is my great privilege to present you with this honor.
Stretch that up a little bit higher. Okay. Whew. Thank you so much. That was, like I just told you, almost put me in tears. Thank you so much. First, I'd like to thank Harvard. I'd like to thank the Hutchins Center. I'd like to thank everybody here that put this on, all the people that made this possible, secured this room for us, set up everything, people that sometimes doesn't always get the thanks. I want to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I also have to recognize my wife right here. Thank you for being here to support me. I know. You know, thinking about this award and what an honor it is to be here to accept this, I didn't know that I would be here, you know? Looking back, not too long ago, I was in a predicament that was changing my life, changed my family's life. We didn't know that what tomorrow would bring. We didn't know if I would be standing here. I didn't know anything. I didn't know what my life would look like. I didn't know if I even have a life. And sometimes you have to just be present, be there, and be a vessel. And during that time, I got closer in my word, got closer to my faith, and I learned that being a vessel, sometimes you have to be used. And there's a lot of people in this room today that are going to be vessels to make change. There's going to be a lot of people here, and I know it. I'm looking right now at a lot of people that have made changes and that will make changes. I could sit here and be sad and be mad and frustrated, but if my experience and what I've been able to do in my life so far, if that has changed anybody's life or helped anybody, I'm glad what happened to me, honestly. If that can help somebody or change somebody's life, I'm here to be that vessel. And I want to encourage everybody to take on the struggle, take on the hardship. You don't know what it's going to be when you come out the other side. You don't know how many lives you might change. You don't know what kind of a difference that you might make in this world. So, thank you. So, again, before I leave here, before I go sit back down, again, I just want to challenge everybody to embrace the uncomfortable and embrace the process. And I also want to congratulate everybody up here as well for getting this amazing award. I'm up here with some amazing people, and I hope the rest of my life I can be half of who I'm looking at up here. So thank you.
Good evening. Uh-oh. Good. Turn it way down. Perfect. Thank you. We're good. Great. Good evening, everyone. My name is Hopi Hoekstra. I am Harvard's Dean of the Faculty of Arts and Sciences.
All right.
And it is my honor to stand on the stage with my friends and with this tremendous group of awardees. Today I'd like to read from W.E.B. Du Bois's 1903 of Our Spiritual Strivings, the Souls of Black Folks. Between me and the other world, there is ever an unasked question. Unasked by some through feelings of delicacy, by others through the difficulty of rightly framing it, all, nevertheless, fluttered round it. They approach me in a half-hesitant sort of way, eye me curiously or compassionately, and then, instead of saying directly, "How does it feel to be a problem?" they say, "I know an excellent colored man in my town," or "I fought in Mechanicsville," or "Do not these Southern outrages make your blood boil?" At these I smile, or am interested, or reduce the boiling to a simmer, as the occasion may require. To the real question, how does it feel to be a problem, I answer seldom a word. And yet, being a problem is a strange experience, peculiar even for one who has never been anything else, save perhaps in babyhood or in Europe. It is in the early days of rollicking boyhood that the revelation first bursts upon one, all in one day, as it were. I remember well when the shadow swept across me. I was a little thing, away up in the hills of New England, where the dark Housatonic winds between Hoosac and Taconic to the sea. In a wee wooden schoolhouse, something put it into boys' and girls' heads to buy gorgeous visiting cards, 10 cents a package, and exchange. The exchange was merry till one girl, a tall newcomer, refused my card, refused it peremptorily with a glance. Then it dawned upon me with a certain suddenness that I was different from the others, or like, mayhap, in heart and life and longing, but shut out from their world by a vast veil. I had therefore no desire to tear down that veil, to creep through. I held all beyond it in contempt and lived above it in a region of blue sky and great wandering shadows. That sky was bluest when I could beat my mates at examination time, or beat them at a foot race, or even beat their stringy heads. Alas, with all the years, all this fine contempt began to fade, for the words I longed for, and all their dazzling opportunities, were theirs, not mine. But they should not keep these prizes, I said. Some, all, I would wrest from them. Just how I would do it, I could never decide. By reading law, by healing the sick, by telling the wonderful tales that swam in my head, some way. Thank you.
Professor Gates, Glenn Hutchins, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm Sarah Gans-Blythe. I'm the director of the Harvard Art Museums. It is an absolute honor and a true joy to introduce a visionary whose work has redefined what portraiture means in America, the extraordinary painter, Amy Sherald. A young woman in a crisp polka dot dress against an emerald green backdrop entitled The Girl Next Door. A schoolboy mounts a prodigious playground slide, Kingdom. A couple before a vintage car, white picket fence, manicured lawn, crisp blue sky, as American as apple pie. A cowboy, a beauty queen, a farmer atop a John Deere 820, a Black transgender Statue of Liberty. In Sherald's hands, these figures, familiar yet freshly seen, become monumental. Her subjects meet us at eye level, rendered in bold line and vibrant color with skin tones in delicate grayscale. They look at us, and in doing so, they invite us to see their humanity and our own. Her paintings are portraits, but they are also stories. As Sherald herself has said, her work captures the wonder of what it is to be a Black American. That wonder radiates through every canvas, from her majestic portraits of Michelle Obama and Breonna Taylor, to everyday Americans who stand self-possessed and sovereign within her imagined worlds. And as she recently told Dr. Sarah Lewis at the Vision and Justice Now convening, I don't see myself as painting against something, I see myself as painting towards something, towards future possibility. Born in Columbus, Georgia, Sherald's artistic journey began with a moment of revelation. As a teenager, she saw a Black man represented in a painting for the very first time and thought, I want to do that. The light bulb went on. She went on to study at Fine Arts at Clark Atlanta, a historically Black university, and earned her MFA from the Maryland Institute College of Art in Baltimore. Sherald became the first woman and first African American to win the Natural Portrait Gallery's Outland Buchever Portrait Competition. In 2018, she was selected by the First Lady to paint her official portrait. Sherald has been recipient of many awards, including the Pollock Prize for Creativity, the David Driscoll Prize, and her work now resides in the collections of the Baltimore Museum of Art, the Crystal Bridges Museum, LACMA, SF MoMA, and the Whitney. Sherald centers the lives of Black Americans not as symbols, but as individuals, compelling in their ordinariness, radiant in their presence. In so doing, she challenges us to look beyond art historical canons and traditional conceptions of American realism, and she does this by drawing on vibrant programs such as the HBCU and lineages that include William H. Johnson, Archibald Motley, and Laura Wheeler Waring. Her recent glorious retrospective has been crossing the US and opened just this past weekend with a big party at the Baltimore Museum of Art. It is a homecoming. American Sublime is both a celebration and a meditation. Sherald describes it as a solve, a call to remember our shared humanity, and insistence on being seen. When her work was at risk of not being represented to its fullest, Amy Sherald withheld her exhibition from the Smithsonian's National Portrait Gallery. Her words penned in response resonate deeply for the purpose that they call us to. This country's story has always been a contradiction: slavery alongside freedom, erasure alongside invention. Art carries what is too heavy for language to hold. And museums, at their best, give us a full picture rather than a flattering one. They are civic laboratories, spaces where we wrestle with contradiction, encounter the unfamiliar, and widen our circle of empathy, but only if they remain free. Because when imagination takes a stand against power, we all move closer to being truly seen. And for that young girl standing before the portrait of Michelle Obama, that great image that went viral, the light bulb went off. She saw her future possibility. For her boundless creativity and the deep respect she accords both her subjects and her audience, the Hutchins Center recognizes Amy Sherald with the W.E.D. Du Bois Medal.
Hello. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Professor Gates and Glenn Hutchins and everyone at the Hutchins Center this evening. When I got the call about this medal, I thought about how strange and beautiful it is to be honored for simply doing the work that helps you make sense of the world. I smiled because realizing that you've become the kind of person whose work gets honored takes a moment to sink in. My mother, who couldn't be here tonight, is very pleased. And honestly, I do most of what I do in this life to impress her. And my father, who is no longer with us but is here in spirit today. Both of my parents were born in the 1930s. And their lives were shaped by the very progress that W.B. Du Bois helped set in motion. The doors he pried open with his scholarship and his advocacy, and his belief in the power of art and intellect made space for generations like theirs, and ultimately for mine. Their dreams were built on his work, and my work is built on theirs. I first encountered Du Bois's work in graduate school when I came across his contribution to the 1900 Paris Exposition, the exhibit of American Negroes. Among the materials were hundreds of photographs organized into albums titled Types of American Negroes, Georgia, USA, and Negro Life in Georgia, USA. It stopped me in my tracks, partly because I am quite literally a Georgia Negro, but also because I recognized something of myself in what he was doing, using images to affirm the beauty, intellect, and complexity of Black life. In that moment, I understood that the work that I was beginning to make, portraiture rooted in grace and stillness in the interior lives of Black people, was part of the same conversation. He used photography and data to say, we are here. We have always been here. And I use paint to say the same. That realization became a compass for me, proof that painting the souls of Black folks was not just my calling, but a part of a long continuum of care. So to stand here tonight with this medal, bearing his name, at a time when my exhibition, American Sublime, is on tour, And thank goodness it was canceled, because if the government shut down, nobody would have been seeing it. Feels like that circle closing in the most beautiful way. His vision of our humanity seen and honored remains the North Star. I'm deeply grateful to everyone who believed in this work and to those who continue to make space for artists like me to tell our stories. Thank you for seeing me, and thank you for seeing us. I'm grateful to be on this stage with these honorees that I kind of don't know what I'm doing here. Like, I kind of feel like I don't know what I'm doing here. But thank you so much.
Good evening. It's such an honor to be here. I'm Sarah Lewis, and it's a pleasure and honor to serve as the John L. Loeb Associate Professor of the Humanities and Associate Professor of African and African American Studies. Thank you to Professor Gates for the invitation. Thank you to Glenn Hutchins. Thank you to all those who make this evening possible, and thank you to my students for also being here. I'm going to read a passage from Criteria of Negro Art, a speech, and an essay by W.B. Du Bois, delivered and then published in 1926. And for the students who are in the room, by listening, you will have done the reading for next week. It's excerpted form. What do we want? What is the thing that we are after? We want to be Americans, full-fledged Americans, with all the rights of other American citizens. But is that all? If you tonight suddenly should become full-fledged Americans, if your color faded or the color line was miraculously forgotten, suppose too you became at the same time rich and powerful. What is it that you would want? Would you wear the most striking clothes? Would you buy the longest press notices? Even as you visualize such ideals, you know in your hearts that these are not the things you really want. After all, who shall describe beauty? What is it? Who shall let this world be beautiful? Who shall restore to men the glory of sunsets and the peace of quiet sleep? We Black folk may help, for we have within us as a race new stirrings, stirrings of the beginning of a new appreciation of joy, of a new desire to create, of a new will to be. What has this beauty to do with the world? What has beauty to do with truth and goodness, with the facts of the world and the right actions of men? Nothing, the artist rushed to answer. They may be right. I am but a humble disciple of art and cannot presume to say. I am one who tells the truth and exposes evil and seeks with beauty and for beauty to set the world right. That somehow, somewhere, eternal, perfect beauty sits above truth and right I can conceive, but here and now and in the world in which I work, they are for me unseparated and inseparable. And it is right here that the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People comes upon the field, comes with its great call to a new battle, a new fight, and new things to fight before the old things are wholly won, and to say that the beauty of truth and freedom, which shall someday be our heritage and the heritage of all civilized men, is not in our hands yet, and that we ourselves must not fail to realize. There is in New York tonight a Black woman molding clay by herself in a little bare room because there is not a single school of sculpture in New York where she is welcome. And so I might go on. But let me sum up with this. Suppose the only Negro who survived some centuries hence was the Negro painted by white Americans in the novels and essays they have written. What would people in 100 years say of Black Americans? Thus, it is the bounden duty of Black America to begin this great work of the creation of beauty. And we must use in this work all the methods that men have used before. And what have been the tools of the artist in times gone by? He has used truth as the one great vehicle of universal understanding. Again, artists have used goodness in all its aspects of justice, honor, and right. The apostle of beauty thus becomes the apostle of truth and right, not by choice, but by inner and outer compulsion. Free he is, but free his freedom is ever bounded by truth and justice. Thus, all art is propaganda, and ever must be, despite the wailing of the purists. I stand in utter shamelessness and say that whatever art I have for writing has been used always for propaganda, for gaining the right of Black people, Black folk to love and enjoy. I do not care a damn for any art that is not used for propaganda, but I do care when propaganda is confined to one side while the other is stripped and silent. Thank you.
It is my honor today to present the W.E.B. Du Bois Medal to a man whose work has challenged, inspired, and transformed American culture. Spike Lee. For more than 4 decades, Spike has used the power of film to hold up a mirror to society, revealing its truths, exposing its injustices, and celebrating its beauty. From Do the Right Thing to Malcolm X, from 4 Little Girls to Black Klansman, his storytelling has been uncompromisingly honest, artistically daring, and profoundly human. Spike has shown us that cinema can be a conscience as well as an art form. He has given voice to the voiceless, centered Black experience in the American narrative, and reminded us again and again that art can be a force for justice. He is not simply a filmmaker, he is also a teacher. He's been mentoring young artists for years, teaching them not just how to make films, but why it matters. When Skip came to Cambridge in 1991 to rebuild the African American Studies Department, Spike rallied to the cause and taught here very successfully for 3 years, as he has done for decades at NYU. He has guided a generation of students in how to use their art as a force for change. Spike is also a full-service artist. He's certainly the only filmmaker who helped the future president court his future wife. Barack and Michelle's first date famously was at a screening of Do the Right Thing. Spike is a truth teller, a provocateur, and a patriot in the deepest sense, someone who insists that America live up to its own ideals. His body of work has earned him not only Oscars and Emmys, but something rarer, enduring influence. Like W.E.B. Du Bois himself, Spike believes that the artist has a duty, not only to depict the world, but to change it. His films do just that. They make us see differently. They make us feel urgently. They make us act. Spike, for your fearless vision, your unyielding integrity, and your lifelong commitment to telling the stories that matter, Harvard is proud to recognize you. It is our privilege to present you with the W.E.B. Du Bois Medal.
health. All right, thank you. Glenn, thank you for that. Skip, thank you. Any Knick fans in the house? I had to get out of here. Anyway, I want to thank everyone. I mean, this is a great honor and be on the stage with this talent, these great individuals who are change makers. So I want to thank Tanya. Can you stand up, please, my wife? Stand up, stand up, stand up. Thank you. You could be up here with your light-skinned sisters, too. The crew up here. Anyway, I didn't grow up want to be a filmmaker. My mother took me to movies, and that seed was planted at a very, very young age. So I tell I'm a teacher, I'm a tenured professor at NYU Graduate Film School. I've been teaching there for over 30 years. And I tell my students the first day every year that if you are able to make a living doing what you love, you are blessed. Thank you very much.
Good evening. I am Imani Perry. I am the I'm the Henry and Elizabeth Morris Professor of African and African American Studies and Women, Gender, and Sexuality Studies, and the Carol K. Fortzheimer Professor at the Harvard Radcliffe Institute. When 21st century Americans think about ballet, there is only one person who universally and immediately comes to mind, and that is Misty Copeland. Copeland became the first African American principal dancer with the American Ballet Theater, which is the apex of the American dance world, after 15 years with the company. This extraordinary achievement is made even more remarkable because she only began to study ballet when she was 13 years old, which is ancient for a girl in ballet. Nevertheless, within a year, she was earning distinctions and accolades that outpaced her peers. If the old adage that Black folk have to work twice as hard to get half as far is true anywhere, it is arguably most evident in the world of ballet. Yet, that's true. Yet with her distinctive combination of elegance, power, charisma, and grace, Copeland has made virtuosity look effortless. Over the years, she has captivated choreographers, colleagues, dance aficionados, and the general public alike. For us, Black girls and women who studied dance, Copeland's stratospheric ascent to the highest level of the most classical of forms has been a beacon. She is the one who inspires and the one to emulate. As she danced in all the classic roles, the Firebird, Clara of the Nutcracker, Odette Odile of Swan Lake, Juliet of Romeo and Juliet, as well as newer cutting-edge ballets, Copeland brought an unprecedented wave of young Black and brown people into ballet. With the alchemy of her brilliant smile, pristine extensions of every limb, and brown toe shoes, she has declared in form and deed, this realm belongs to us too. Copeland's influence has grown both wide and deep. She has shared her own story in a memoir, as well as in film and on television. She has also authored books for children of all ages. As a philanthropist, her eponymous foundation is committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion in the world of dance. She is an executive producer, an athletic wear founder, and the recipient of numerous awards, honorary doctorates, and distinctions, including the NAACP's Spingarn Medal, which is the highest honor offered by our nation's oldest civil rights organization. Just 2 weeks ago, Copeland retired from the ABT with the final performance. If you happened to be on social media that evening, it is likely that your feed, like mine, was filled with tributes to her from the likes of Oprah Winfrey and Debbie Allen, along with thousands of lovers of dance who shared images and footage of Copeland. They ranged from when she was a young, bright-eyed, and preternaturally gifted teenager to the dazzlingly poised woman she is today, a delicate genius in her craft and a giant in her field, who continues to rise with each deep bow. For her groundbreaking artistry and her unwavering commitment to forge a path for those who come after her, the Hutchins Center recognizes Misty Copeland with the W.E.B. Du Bois Medal.
My goodness, thank you. Thank you to President Garber, Professor Gates, and Glenn Hutchins, and everyone at Hutchins Center for this unbelievable honor. It's very surreal to be here on this stage with all of you. To receive a medal bearing the name W.E.B. Du Bois is almost beyond words. Du Bois was not only a scholar and a visionary, he was an architect of thought. He reshaped how the world understood race, art, intellect, and power. And he dared to imagine a future where Black excellence was not exceptional, but expected. To be linked in any way to that legacy is extremely humbling. As you saw and heard just a few weeks ago, I stood on the stage at Lincoln Center for my farewell performance with American Ballet Theater, a company that has been my artistic home for nearly 25 years. That night felt like both an ending and a beginning, because for me, the stage has always been more than a place to dance. It has been a place to belong. And that belonging did not come easy, as ballet was not first built with someone who looks like me in mind. But standing in that space, I realized that representation isn't only about being seen, it's about what seeing makes possible. It's about transforming a tradition, expanding who's invited to the table, and keeping that door open wide enough for generations to follow. That is the work that is so meaningful to me, that is so important, and that continues to drive me. That belief that access is not charity, it's change. It's how we build a world where art reflects the full, radiant spectrum of humanity. Through my foundation, through storytelling, and through creating spaces where young people of color can experience ballet not as outsiders, but as heirs to its beauty, I try to carry forward that belief every day. W.E.B. Du Bois wrote that art is not a luxury. It is the expression of a people. And I hold that so close to me, because art at its best is truth, and truth at its best moves us forward. I share this honor with my mentors, with my family, my amazing husband, Olu, who is here tonight, and and every young person who dares to dream differently. I am deeply proud to stand among you and among all who have received this medal before us, those who remind the world again and again that grace and intellect are not separate things, but two sides of the same power. Thank you.
Good evening again. I am Marla Frederick, Dean of Harvard Divinity School. A friend of mine used to tease me and say, Marla, you know, if anyone has any serious conversation with you, they'll walk away knowing at least two things about you. You love the Lord, and you're from Sumter, South Carolina. And so, tonight, it gives me an extraordinary amount of South Carolina pride to introduce to you not only a great South Carolinian, but a great Sumterite. Born in Sumter, South Carolina, Congressman James E. Clyburn was destined to make a difference. The son of Reverend Enos Lloyd, an activist, fundamentalist preacher, as he described him, and an independent, civic-minded beautician mother, Mrs. Almeda Disley Clyburn. A young James learned the important values of compassion, servant leadership, disciplined labor, and self-regard, a trait all too often stolen from Black people growing up in the Jim Crow South. Traveling with his father to Church of God meetings, he saw as a child what true leadership looks like. One night, his dad, who was up for re-election as president of the association, was caught in a battle that could have caused great division. Able to cast the tie-breaking vote, Reverend Clyburn voted for his opponent, allowing his competition to win. As they walked out of the church that night, a young and confused James asked his father, "Why would you do that?" His father replied, "When severe schisms develop in organizations and positions become intractable, it's difficult for anybody to lead successfully," followed by, "and eventually, they'll want me back." The following year, Reverend Clyburn was re-elected without opposition. And He held that position until he retired. These early lessons in humility, strategic patience, and statesmanship would come to define the leadership ethos of Congressman James Clyburn that he is known for today. Well respected for his diplomacy, Congressman Clyburn has represented South Carolina's 6th congressional district in the U.S. House of Representatives since 1993 and serves as chairman of the Democratic Faith Working Group. He prepared for this role, first serving as a public school history teacher, and later becoming the commissioner of South Carolina's Human Affairs Commission, a role that mandated the shrewdest of negotiating skills in a state with post-civil rights era racial tensions. Once elected to Congress, his gift for leadership led him to serve as House Majority Whip from 2007 to 2010 and 2019 to 2022, making him the first African American to serve multiple terms in that role. Now, I knew there was something unique about this congressman when I watched the inauguration of President Joe Biden in 2021. All of the dignitaries had gathered on stage that cold January morning wearing their dignitary finest, tailored suits and hats and overcoats. And there was my congressman, suit adorned with a fitting overcoat and a South Carolina State Bulldogs baseball cap. I said to myself then, now there goes a true diehard Bulldog. Reading his autobiography, Blessed Experiences, it is clear that James Clyburn has been shaped by the best values found in Black institutions. Institutions such as the church, civic organizations, and schools like Mather Academy, and his beloved alma mater, South Carolina State University, where he met his late wife, Emily. They met through their active involvement in the civil rights movement as students, and that meeting nurtured a lifetime of service of over 58 years of marriage. From the Congressman's advocacy working to protect the Affordable Care Act and critical access to health care, to supporting the Voting Rights Act and introducing the 10-20-30 formula, a provision of the American Reinvestment and Recovery Act to improve the living conditions of those in rural areas, to preserving historic sites across the country, and serving as the inaugural chairperson of the International African American Museum in Charleston, South Carolina, Congressman Clyburn has dedicated his life to the ideals of equality and democracy. Notably, he has championed extraordinary efforts to increase funding to historically Black colleges and universities. This work has been done against the backdrop of a nation that has perpetually underfunded public land-grant HBCUs by an estimated $13 billion compared to their predominantly white counterparts, according to the U.S. Department of Education, a critical gap that he has worked ever so diligently to close. And these are just a few of Congressman Clyburn's many accomplishments. I encourage you to read both his autobiography and his forthcoming book, The First 8, A Personal History of the Pioneering Black Congressman Who Shaped the Nation, to learn more about his dedication to public service. Recognized with over 39 honorary degrees and numerous distinguished awards, including the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor, his many accolades reflect a lifetime of public service guided by insight, foresight, and care. Known as the quote-unquote dean of the Congressional Black Caucus, and as a man of the people, he might be best known for Clyburn's world-famous fish fry, an annual event we all must put on our bucket list. In closing, I would like to reference a life lesson Congressman Clyburn once offered as he and my father spoke at the funeral of their dear friend, Judge Reuben Gray. The Congressman said, "I often quote Robert Frost, a great poet who wrote about two roads meeting in the woods and him having taken the one less traveled being the reason for the difference that it made in his life." After a thoughtful pause, the Congressman continued, "I tend to disagree with that a little. I think it's really the people you come upon as you travel whatever road you choose that make the difference. Tonight, I can say without a doubt that we are all the better because we have come upon Congressman Jim Clyburn, and that his journey has made the lives of the people of South Carolina and the people of this great nation all the better. Without further ado, please put your hands together for this greatest of South Carolinians, this noblest of legislators, this son of Reverend E.L. and Almeda Clyburn, husband of Emily, father of Mignon, Jennifer, and Angela, this most exemplary of South Carolina State Bulldogs, Congressman James Clyburn. For his unyielding commitment to fortifying the pillars of freedom, equality, and democracy on which the foundation of this country must rest, the Hutchins Center recognizes James E. Clyburn with the W.E.B. Du Bois Medal.
Thank you so much, Dean Frederick, for being so kind with your presentation here this evening. She talked about Robert Frost and my disagreement with him. I've traveled a lot of roads in my life. I don't remember what road it was that I met Glenn Hutchins on, but it has made a difference in my life. I met Skip Gates on more than one occasion. And thank you so much. You have made a difference in my life. George Johnson, you know, last July, I celebrated the 46th anniversary of my 39th birthday. George, you give me hope. Thank you so much. I've admired all of these people for so many years. I've endured one of them. Spike, thank you so much. We have interacted for many, many years in and out of airports, and you got a few of my golf balls in your yard, but thank you so much. When I was growing up in the little town of Sumter, my mother, the beautician, had a rule that we had to stop in the beauty shop every afternoon after school to report. One day when I walked into the beauty shop, I noticed that there was a lady there with her who I had seen before. She was a lady that she had grown up with. They grew up on adjoining cotton farms in Lee County, South Carolina. And when that lady saw me, she turned and said, "My, James, how much have you grown?" And when I spoke, just your voice is beginning to change. What it is that you want to be when you grow up. I started telling her what I wanted to be. I wanted to finished high school. I was going to South Carolina State College, and I wanted to get involved in politics and government. And the lady said to me, son, don't you ever let anybody else hear you say that again. Now, that lady was not throwing cold water on my dreams. She genuinely believed that a little black boy growing up in Sumter, South Carolina, home of the White Citizens Council, should not be expressing those kinds of dreams. But that night, my mother closed the beauty shop. She came and she called me to the kitchen table. She sat me down. She said, now, James, don't you pay any attention to what that lady said to you today. You stay in school, you study hard, you hold fast to your dreams. Things are going to change and you'll be able to fulfill those dreams and your aspirations. Moms was right. And so in accepting this award named in honor of W.B. Du Bois, being from South Carolina, you might imagine, as a graduate of a land grant school, an 1890 land grant school, the difference in that and an 1862 land grant school is skin color. You might know that I would have a great admiration for Booker T. Washington. But for some strange reason, I can't remember why, but I came upon a little paperback book, The Souls of Black Folks. And when I read that book, I saw the necessity of balancing the practical aspects of Booker T. Washington and the intellect of W.B. Du Bois, and how those two things did not have to be at war. And that's the way I've tried to conduct myself. And along the way, I've met several people. I mentioned Glenn and Skip and Spike, others. But Glenn, I hear Lyndon Boozer's here. Lyndon. Stand up, Lyndon. I met Lyndon. Ralph Dawson. Where's Ralph? Ralph came into my life as a 10th grader, and I have not been able to get him out. My chief of staff is here. Yebby. When I got elected to Congress, Yebby, my wife, said to me, there's someone I want you to hire. And I told her, I said, well, Emily, I'm not going to hire the staff. I'm going to let my campaign manager pick the staff. She didn't say another word. But on the day I walked into my office for the first time, Yebby Watkins was sitting there. She called Yebby and said, Yebby, bring me your resume. And she decided that Yebby should be in my office, and he's been my chief of staff for now 32 years. I have some cousins here. I want them to stand. Ava, Willie Mae, Sarah Crawford, and William. All of these are Clyburns. Now, those of you who are from Boston, you will say there's William A. Allen. But William A. Allen is William A. Clyburn. And she became an Allen. Thank you all so much for being here. They're still in Boston. And my firstborn is here, Mignon. I was married to Mignon's mother for 58 years. And we met in 1960, March 15th. I remember it so well because it was the first time that I went to jail. And I met her in jail. Jail worked for us. With Emily, I met on that day. I think about her often when it's time to make a big decision, because she often said to me, remember one thing, when you win, brag gently, and when you lose, weep softly. I have wept softly many times, but because of these people that I just presented and many others, I have been able to brag gently more often, and I thank them.
Please join me once again in saluting the 2025 recipients of the W.E.B. Du Bois Medal. On behalf of Glenn Hutchins and Henry Louis Gates Jr., I thank you for sharing in this very special occasion. I think it only fitting to leave you tonight with the words of a Du Bois contemporary and another great South Carolinian, one who grew up only 15 minutes from our hometown of Sumter in Maysville, South Carolina, Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune. As she entered her winter season of life, she left a last will and testament to be shared with future generations. Over the years, I have found myself returning to these words for both comfort and for salient reminders of what truly matters in this world that can be so broken and yet so beautiful. She opens with, I leave you love. Love builds. It is positive and helpful. It is more beneficial than hate. In poetic fashion, Dr. Bethune continues, I leave you hope. I leave you the challenge of developing confidence in one another. I leave you a thirst for education. I leave you respect for the uses of power. I leave you faith. I leave you racial dignity. I leave you a desire to live harmoniously with your fellow men. I leave you finally a responsibility to our young people. Let us leave here tonight knowing that we have indeed, as we say in the South, a mighty charge to keep and a God to glorify. Let us all say, amen. I would now like to welcome the wonderful Kumba singers back to the stage to conclude our ceremony. Thank you.
ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. See you next year. Thank you. Give it up for our honorees one more time.